Welcome to the channel. Today we're diving into Lesson 10 from your textbook, a chapter titled A Great Social Reformer. To understand our story, we have to travel back to 19th century Bengal. If you walked the streets of Calcutta back then, you would see a society midway through a period of intense modernization and social change. Leading this transition were several prominent figures. Looking at the textbook's opening exercise, we see a grid of familiar faces, men like Rammohan Roy, Vidyasagar, Vivekananda, and Derozio. They dedicated their lives to challenging harmful customs. But even with these efforts, the state of female education was neglected. Millions of women and girls were kept out of classrooms, leaving half the population without access to formal learning. Begum Rokeya emerged to address this specific failure. She was a visionary who recognized that society could not progress while the education of women remained stalled. Rokeya was born into an affluent Muslim family. However, her family's wealth did not grant her independence. She faced the same strict domestic restrictions common for women of her background. Despite her high social standing, she was explicitly forbidden from attending any formal school. Education was considered a privilege reserved for the men of the house. Rokeya sought another way. She began educating herself in secret, studying late into the night, long after the rest of the household had gone to sleep. Through this persistent effort, she mastered multiple languages. She started with Arabic and Persian at home, eventually becoming proficient in both Bengali and English. This self-taught knowledge served a larger purpose. The education she acquired in secret became the primary tool she would use to challenge the systemic barriers holding back women across Bengal. As an adult, Rokeya transitioned from a private student to a public advocate. As our textbook notes, she was a true pioneer. Her generous nature led her to establish a school specifically for poor and disadvantaged Muslim girls. She also influenced society through her writing. She published extensively on the need for reform, producing famous works like Sultana's Dream, Motichor, and Padmarag. In these books, she questioned the rigid division of labor between genders. She argued against social injustice and maintained that equality was a requirement for a healthy society. Rokeya was a dedicated humanist who took practical action to support her beliefs. She founded the Muslim Women's Association to provide an institutional structure for her advocacy. Her philosophy focused on a simple truth: a family, and the nation it belongs to, relies on the participation and empowerment of women to remain stable. Begum Rokeya's life shows how effectively language can be used to influence public thought. To use words with that same level of impact, one must first master the mechanics of the language itself. That brings us to punctuation. These marks provide the essential structure that allows a reader to follow the logic and rhythm of a written argument. Let's review the textbook's list. We use the full stop to conclude thoughts, the comma for brief pauses, the colon to introduce lists, and the semicolon to divide sentences. We also use question marks for inquiries, exclamation marks for emphasis, and apostrophes for possession. Prepositions connect information. Activity 6 demonstrates this by asking for details of Swami Vivekananda's life, like where he was born. Finally, Activity 7a covers pronouns. Using Raja Rammohan Roy, we see how words like he and his make writing clearer. These mechanics provide the structural clarity required to communicate complex ideas. For a reformer like Rokeya, the precise use of language was a necessary step in making the case for equality understood by the public. Thank you for learning about the life and work of Begum Rokeya. Share your thoughts on her contributions in the comments, and remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Akhara Study channel for more lessons.